Welcome back to Make It Make Sense with Tomee Sojourner Campbell. In this episode, we're going to be talking about embracing a dream. I'm so excited about the dream that I'm finally bringing to life. It has been over 30 years in the making, and although I can't share with you quite yet what it is and what it will look like, I'm just so thrilled that I have um, taken the time to really think about where my creative journey has gone, where it has been, where it is now, where I want it to be. And for those of you that don't know me, and many of you listening to this episode will not, I have always been a very sort of creative person, a painter, an artist. I've displayed my artwork. I have truly embraced those sides of me that I have sometimes not shared with others, but have really helped me along my journey. So, for example, in the work that I do as a consultant and an advisor, and working in often difficult areas with difficult conversations, whether we're doing work on systemic anti Black racism, looking at changing and transforming workplaces, union environments, and our communities at large, I often have to dig into really difficult research. Sometimes it's very sort of emotionally laborious. And I think about, okay, what do I need to sort of inform my practice and give me the sort of the motivation and the grounding to keep going through some difficult and challenging research, whether it's documents or so on. And I often listen to music, and I am a avid house head. I've always loved house music. I love different genres of music, but particularly house music, Chicago house, deep house, soul house music. Has drawn me in. My earliest memory was perhaps when I was 10 years old or 11. At the time in my life, I was in boarding school in Scotland in the middle of the Highlands, and being one of only a few Black children and a sea of hundreds and hundreds of other folks. And it was the Top of the Pops. It was Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody, and so many different other artists. And eventually, the blending of house music. And those of you who are house heads know what I mean. The backbeats, the bass, all of that is just transformative. And so, as a part of my own sort of coming to where I am today in my life, I thought about creating a project that would bring in my love of house and then bring in my love of creativity and moving towards a specific dream of being able to express myself through sound as opposed through the words that I use, or a combination. And so the things that I've done in order to embrace this dream have been very kind of challenging in some ways, because I have been resistant to follow this dream of, as I said, it's 30 years in the making. So I wanted to share with you 3 tips that you can think about implementing, or actions you can take when you have a big dream that seems in some ways unattainable, overwhelming, and you're not quite sure. So for me, what I did was, first of all, I created a map, a dream map. I have been thinking about what I want it to look like. How do I get from where I am today, which is I love house music, but I'm not really quite there to create projects that would involve sound and the layering of images and different kinds of genres of music. And then I look at writing down concrete things that concern me, or are barriers that I can identify within myself, within my sort of reality, my day to day, that would prevent me from going ahead and living out this dream. So I think about the fears. Perhaps some of you might have a fear of success. I know that in different parts of my journey, when I have felt success, it can be a bit overwhelming. Certainly, if you're doing work that's transformative in communities where you meet people in your day to day, you might be at a grocery store and all of a sudden someone's seen you on a CBC news show or what have you, and they are showing appreciation. But if it's not a part of your norm, it can feel a bit overwhelming. So think about what fears that you might have, real and imagined, and speak back into those fears. Speak to them, make them less than and smaller than, and work towards also mapping out what brings you joy. I know in this time of my life, I really want to embrace the ideas of joy, but also what it means to physiologically feel joy and express laughter. And for many of us living in this time, there's so many things that are not joyful. And you might be working in a job that's not particularly joyful or experiencing a number of different lived experiences where you just really want to tap into something that allows you just a moment of rest. And so for me, writing down what some of those joys might look like, you can just imagine them, even if they are not sort of real and you can feel it at the moment. What would it look like for you? And what would it feel like? Then think about the skills and competencies. This is a big one. For my dream project, I'm thinking about the competency. I'm thinking about skill. What are my existing skills? And then what are the skills that I need to require or acquire in order to be able to live out this dream in a way that I've envisioned it and imagined it. I also think speak to and share your dreams with someone who you care for, who cares for you, that you trust. We don't always have people in our lives who are able to hear a dream, especially if you are a dreamer and a creator like myself. Sometimes I know I am an ideas person, so I have an idea and I'm like, ooh, get up in the morning, have an idea, um, shave my head, have an idea. And so if you don't have someone who you can bounce those ideas off of or imagine your dreams with, then one of the things in my journey when that's happened to me is that I write them down and I write them down or speak them into a recording device. And I also prepare like a little love note to myself that honors that I've had this dream and then figure out how do I create an opportunity to live out this dream eventually. And so, as I mentioned, this is 30 years in the making because there were at different points in my life, things were not coming together. And now they are coming together in a way that I feel very comfortable being able to take the next step. So, as I mentioned, write your love letter to yourself, create a dream map, write down your fears, your joys, the skills and the competencies that you might need in order to live out this dream. Also, think about in your notes and your affirmations to yourself, what is it you need to say to your younger self? What is your younger self saying to you? What are you saying to your present self? And what are you saying to your future self in terms of your abilities to just be able to make that dream a little bit more real? And I'm not even giving you sort of a parameter of what a dream might look like. It could be you've always had a desire to be a DJ and you have no idea, like instruments, turntables, what have you. You just know you want to spin on the ones and twos. And so I'll give you a little bit of hint. My dream that I'm bringing into reality is that I've always wanted to be a DJ. And I have put the wheels in motion, if you will, to make that happen. And part of it is thinking about venues and what it would look like. And if it's just you and your best friend, or you and nobody else but a mirror, and you're just spinning it and you're happy and you're joyful and you're dancing and you're bouncing around and you feel connected to your spirit and your body and your sense of self and the universe that you're in at the moment and what the music as it moves through you makes you feel like doing and moving. I think that there's something to be said about the power, the transformative power and the freedom of that. So, I use DJing as an example, but also put the wheels in motion. So if you are in a place that you're able to map out what you can do, the next thing really is about investing your time. Think about how you invest your time in other areas that you pursue in your life, whether it's professionally, personally, and what would it take in order for you to learn what you need in order to live out that dream. The other thing is thinking about some resources do you need to set aside some financial resources to invest in your dream? Is there a possibility, depending on your budget, if you don't have a budget, or if other things are more pressing, looking at, is it possible to borrow equipment or to borrow whatever you need to do? Have a conversation. I think some of the opportunities we have now through social media, you can actually reach out to people. I've, in my own journey and my own research, I've started to reach out to some people who I've followed their careers for a very long time. They're brilliant, and they're very generous with the time that they're just sharing and responding to questions that I might have. The other thing is to really look at reaching through your fears. And if you have a fear of failure or rejection, find tender ways to allow yourself to move outside of those, what we refer to as comfort zones, and send a cold email. It might take you a month or a year to send it, but eventually send that cold email and see what happens. I mean, we do live in a world where, in some circumstances, there may be people who are just as excited about you, about being a part of a new project, and they're looking for reciprocal relationships. They're not sure where they're going to get started, and then whoops, they get a message from you, a notification that you've sent a message through LinkedIn or through TikTok or through whatever platform that you choose, and then a new relationship goes from there, and your creative project begins to take shape. So I think there's these things that can be put in play, and I would also say that if you're able to, in all of this journey, and you're thinking about embracing your dream, is ultimately, what will it look like and what will it feel like when you have finally launched that dream? And some of us do vision boards, and I think whatever mechanism you choose to bring it to life and move it from thought to intention to reality, think about that process and really look towards a space where you can bring all of those pieces together and create opportunities where no opportunity existed. And so I'll end this episode by really saying it's important for you in this day and age, I think, and as we move through the middle of 2024, we have another month or so of summer, about a month of summer, and then we move into the fall, and then a chilly winter for those of us who live in different parts of Canada. I really think cuddle up with yourself, be open to looking at how you start your journey, your dream journey, and embrace it. And I'd love to hear from you if you are in the process of sort of manifesting a dream, making things happen where you've wanted to do a creative project, and it might be something else. It might be starting a new job. It might, your dream might be to open a restaurant, whatever the case may be. Please send me an email. I'll put the information and the information below the episode or the podcast episode, and just connect. And if you want to be a guest on this show, just let me know, and we can discuss what kind of topics that you might want to cover during our 15 minutes or so conversation. So if any of you actually are embracing your dreams and you have a process in place, please let me know what it is. If you have a link or a website, a YouTube, a platform that you would like to share with the listeners of Make It Make Sense with Tomee Sojourner Campbell. Okay, until next time.